The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of KSMQ Public Service Media Incorporated or its assigns.
Welcome to On Cue. I'm your host, Eric Olson. On today's program, we'll talk about the dredging plans for Albert Lea and Fountain Lakes. We'll also get an update from the Vision 2020 project and meet Albert Lea City Manager Chad Adams to learn about their proposed streetscaping project. Stay with us for On Cue.
From KSMQ Television in Austin, this is On Cue, connecting interesting issues and interesting people. On Cue.
Albert Lea has great features with Fountain Lake right in the middle of town and a historic downtown. The community has been exploring how to better emphasize these attractions through a project called streetscaping. Chad Adams is here to tell us more. Welcome, Chad.
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for the opportunity.
You bet. As city manager, does streetscaping mean something to you? Is that a city planning term? What does that mean?
It is, particularly with this project on Broadway, though. It's starting out to be more of an infrastructure project. We have to replace the water and sewer and stormwater utilities, which have been in the roadway for about 80 years. So we need to do something with the roadway in terms of the infrastructure right now. But while we have that opportunity, we want to create our downtown as a destination. So the streetscaping element, from a planning perspective, is adding things like benches, decorative street lighting, gathering places and plazas to make it more of a gathering place and a destination point for the community.
So is that I hear that a lot, just that term destination. Does that mean that people will want to, the idea is people want to come there and get out of the car and buy, shop and so on, or just visit, or what?
Both. We're looking at it from a variety of different perspectives. Just from an economic development perspective, we're hoping by making it a more attractive place that we're going to attract more businesses, trying to make the entire downtown corridor more of a place where people want to come and just walk the streets. The design is actually going to complement that so people can get across the streets a little bit better, make it a more pedestrian-friendly atmosphere. And also then just in general partnering with the local businesses and other civic groups, they're bringing more activities downtown. So all of these items are complementing each other, and by collaborating with all these entities, again, we want to make it a destination for more of a tourism and economic development benefit.
I remember years ago doing a story about some idea for a downtown where they were going to put housing up above all the retail businesses below and kind of turn it into a big pedestrian thing for as people got older, they could work and live in the same area or something. That must be something different than streetscaping. Yeah,
and that's actually a longer range goal. I mean, one of the priorities of the city right now, this particular city council, is just to revitalize the downtown. So this streetscape project is one component of that. Beyond that, we're looking at doing some of those things as well, as getting more residential and some of those second level buildings downtown. We actually own a couple buildings downtown, the city does, that are actually 4 stories. We've got a developer working with us right now to develop those into market rate housing. So again, that's another complementary piece to what we're doing here with the streetscape project.
And we have a few drawings here about the proposed. Does this need council action yet, or a referendum for?
Not a referendum. I mean, typically when we do an infrastructure reconstruction project, we go through what's called the 429 process for issuing bonds for the project, and we have special assessments. So there will not be a public vote on it, but there will be a series of council votes on it. And just a few weeks ago here, the council ordered the project and authorized the engineers to prepare the plans and specs. And we'll go through some of the elements here that are still in discussion for more of the streetscape elements, but ultimately here come this winter, we'll be approving the plans and specs, putting it out to bid, and ultimately when we get the bids back, the council's got to decide, are the bids good enough to award the contract? And ultimately we would start construction in 2013. It would be a full 2,000-year construction, and it would be set to go for the future.
Nice. So this is a sidewalk section view. You're going to widen sidewalks a little bit?
Just a little bit. And the intent of that, again, is to try to draw, again, a little bit more of a pedestrian-friendly atmosphere, so there's more sidewalk space for pedestrians to walk up and down the sidewalks, but also to allow for some of the businesses to put out maybe some tables or some chairs for maybe a coffee shop, or maybe for a restaurant, or maybe for some just business display. So it makes it a little bit more of an environment where people driving down the roadway can see that, and they might want to stop and go frequent those businesses. This illustration here shows kind of the scope of the project on the south end.
So it says we're looking from above.
Yep, this is an aerial view, and this is Main Street here, and this is the first segment down Broadway. You can see some of the elements here.
Yeah, right in the center. There's trees, and then right in the center.
We have trees down here, and some of these trees actually are serving as bioretention filters. So we're going to have some of the stormwater going into these trees.
Bioretention filters?
Yes, we're actually.
I've never heard a tree referred to as a that's a good one.
It's an innovative measure to try to clean some of the water that's eventually going to flow down to Fountain Lake. So that's one of the values that we see as part of this project. And we've got another rain garden down in the park that we'll talk about here in a little bit. But these bump outs here
that's what those are called.
Yep, these are bump outs, and it's been a significant part of the project discussion. And really what it does is provides a little bit better access across the intersection. You can see it's a little bit closer for a pedestrian to get across. Now these intersections used to have traffic signals, and really the traffic downtown does not warrant traffic signals. So instead of putting the traffic signals back in, we're going to put stop signs at these corners, and those stop signs will be out in the middle of the intersection. So it provides a safer element for pedestrians to get across the intersection. But one of the biggest benefits of those bump outs is we're going to save about $400,000 by not putting those traffic signals back in. So actually the bump outs are a more affordable option than putting the traffic signals back in. And you can see some of the other elements down here as well too. One of the areas for a gathering place is this Water Street Plaza. On the last illustration, we already had another one called the William Street Plaza. Now, these are going to be open during the day, but during nighttime activities or during special events, we can actually put ballards across these to close them off for special events.
Skateboard parties? Just kidding.
Maybe not a skateboard party, but more community festivals, and we've got our downtown association that's actually bringing more events downtown where that's going to be utilized.
This shows impressive right here.
This is very impressive. We'd like to talk a lot about Fountain Lake Park, and again, this is kind of the element that's going to tie the streetscape down into Fountain Lake, and we're extending the dock here to allow more boats to actually frequent and hopefully come downtown and maybe go to the theater or go out to a restaurant someday.
Oh, they could park there and leave?
They can park their boats here and leave. It's not going to be permanent space, and I'll show through some other illustrations too, some of the entertainment that we have planned down in that area. Now this illustration here shows a rain garden down at the bottom of the park. So a lot of the water coming down will actually go into this rain garden. We'll treat that water so that cleaner water is going into the lake. And we're essentially preserving a lot of areas already existing in the park. This illustration primarily shows more of a ground level view again of on the base here. We're looking at having entertainment being allowed, maybe some music, maybe some other events or activities. And the steps are actually serve as seating as well, so it's kind of an amphitheater style, so it's kind of serving as somewhat of a joint use to draw people down to the park as another destination point, and having an artistic piece up on top there, which will hopefully be reflective of our historical nature of downtown or Fountain Lake in general.
What about Albert Lea has several, to my mind, retail areas besides the downtown. You know, with I-90 being so close, there's pockets of large, fairly good-sized retail. Is this more of a way to get clear in everyone's mind who's visiting where downtown is?
Yes, and we've been working on some of those corridors as well from I-90 and I-35. We've been working on those in the past 5 to 10 years already, and this is another piece to actually build it up as our central business area. And certainly, if we have a lot of success here, we can start adding more success in some other areas in the community for economic development and retail.
Is anything unique to Albert Lea that you see that, we've got to work on that? Obviously, you're doing something here with the streetscape.
Well, we've got a lot of jewels in the community. One is just our lakes in the community, and working in partnership with the watershed. You know, there's funding constraints there, but if we can clean up the lake, make it more of a destination piece, add to the downtown here as more of a destination piece. We've got about a 30 to 40 acre tract called the Blazing Star Landing that's right in between the two lakes in the community. That's prime for a destination point as well. So hopefully in the next 5 years or so, we can pull all those things together and just make it truly a great destination for not only individuals residing in the community, but for those visiting the community as well.
Thanks very much for joining us and filling us in on Albert Lea. Hope to have you back again.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Chad Adams, Albert Lea City Manager. And we will be back with more on our program right after this.
You can watch On Cue anytime by visiting the KSMQ TV website, ksmq.org.
And welcome back to On Cue. I'm Eric Olson. We're going to shift gears a little bit and talk about water management, water quality, and what it means for our area. Specifically, we're going to talk a little bit about the Albert Lea area, Freeborn County. Joining us now is Brett Behnke, Shellrock Watershed District Administrator. Thank you so much for joining us. And congratulations on your latest acquisition.
Yeah, thank you.
We're gonna show the viewers your big the big acquisition, big purchase, and it has not been named yet.
It hasn't.
Now, what is this? This is we know what it is. It's a dredger, but what are you going to use it for?
This machine will be used to remove the sediment in the bottom of our lakes.
In the entire watershed district, which is a lot of the county, or
right. The Shellrock River Watershed District encompasses about 3/4 of Freeborn County, kind of through the center of the county. And the Shellrock River Watershed District actually stretches down into Iowa, but our portion of regulatory is in Freeborn County.
Okay, and not to make light of it, this is a major acquisition for you. What was the process in getting this machine? How do you find such a thing?
Well, that's part of it. It was a rare thing to have it go on auction 30 miles away from us in Owatonna, and we had visited the plant that they make these dredge machines, and in Appleton, Wisconsin, and we've done some research in other dredge machines, and it was a rare opportunity that it would happen to be on auction that close to home. You don't find used dredge like this very often, and if you do, they're quite a distance away, Florida, Alabama, those type of places, so Louisiana, and so to run across a used one with such low hours and knowing and being able to visit with the people that owned it prior to us we had to act on it.
And it's within your budget. You have a small ability to collect taxes from folks who live in the watershed district, so they see that on the bottom of their tax return. That's what pays for the operations and for this dredger.
Actually, the operations come out of your property tax at $250,000 a year the watershed district collects for administrative, and then we have a sales tax in the city of Albert Lea that goes to the watershed district at 0.5%, and that generates about $1 million per year.
So that you were able to fund this acquisition.
This acquisition, yes. And from this point on, the actual acquisition of this machine was $776,000 with all the equipment that goes along with it, and the whole project that we were looking at prior to the purchase of this equipment was $15 million for Fountain Lake. So in the light of the actual scope of the project, that this is a very small portion of the project.
Okay.
And what we'll do to get the rest of the funds is we'll ask the state legislature, as we've done in the past, for bonding dollars to fund our project. We haven't been successful in the past. We've asked a couple times, but we're hoping now we have some leverage. We've got some of the projects started by buying the dredge. We're doing some of the permitting work now, so we're shovel ready.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And this has been going on, this discussion, for some time in the Albert Lea area, and for folks who are outside our viewing area, maybe in Rochester, Winona, or down in Mason City, give us a little update on what you're going to do at Fountain Lake.
Fountain Lake, we're going to look at, we have several tributaries, small streams that come into the lake, and we've seen over the years our larger sedimentation deposits are in those tributaries. So we want to clean out those bays, and then we're going to do some depthening to the actual lake, the core lake, to create some fish habitat, some fish haven. We've seen this year with the low oxygen and the hot temperatures, A deeper lake produces colder water, so we want to incorporate some of those things into our plan. So we're still in the planning phase of the actual bottom contouring, they call it, of a lake. And so we want some fish structure, we want some decent boat structure, we want to just try to appease everybody that uses that lake, and it's really one of our main resources in the city of Albert Lea for natural.
And this is a multi-year project. When you get the funding, it goes on for many years.
It does, yes. Right now, because we have the dredge, it's probably a 2-year out before we even start with the dredging process. And obviously we need to secure funds to do the project, and then we have a lot of engineering and environmental assessment work to do.
Right, you'll have to go through just like if it was a project with an environmental statement, all that kind of
we do, yes,
thing, I suppose.
Anytime
the impact.
Anytime it's over an acre in a body of water, it triggers that effect. So we'll have to go through the impact statement and the assessment worksheet and get input from our other agencies that we work close with, like the Department of Natural Resources and Minnesota Pollution Control. So we'll work closely with those people to get our permits and get a plan approved.
And this is man-made over erosion? Is that primarily what causes the sediment buildup?
Yes, in 2003, the Watershed District developed their lake management plan, or their Watershed District management plan, and part of that plan was to reduce the sedimentation coming into our lake. So after the sales tax was passed, they took an aggressive approach to implement that plan, and what we did is we started with the upstream and the upper watershed. So all those tributaries that come in, we started doing water control structures, we started doing stream banks stabilizations, water and sediment control basins, wetland restorations, to try to reduce the sedimentation that's coming in. And you need that reduction in order to get your permit to begin with to remove sediment. But after we've done this, and we're still in the process of that project, that's about a $15 million project upstream. And after we complete that project and we're starting to see the reduction in our water monitoring. We do an intensive water monitoring program every year. And we're developing our TMDL right now.
That's total daily maximum.
Daily loads, yeah.
Load, okay.
Yep.
Well, I got 3 out of 4. That's not too bad.
Right. So what we're finding is with our monitoring and our TMDL is that we're still getting nutrients and sedimentation into the lake, but it's reduced, and we're getting close to that state standard. But what we're also experiencing is internal loading, and that's the sedimentation on the bottom of the lake that is abundant of nutrients. And as you use the lake, especially in a shallow lake, that sediment gets suspended, and when that sediment is suspended, all those nutrients become available, and that's why you see the algae blooms. And because it's so shallow, you see it's very turbid. Not only can boats stir up the bottom of the lake, but wind action, wave action itself can stir up the bottom of the lake. So
okay, and so we say, if we're in Albert Lea, would we say, well, we didn't cause the problem, why do we have to pay for it? Why don't you go upstream and what is it, agricultural runoff or whatnot? I mean, is that the argument you get?
Honestly, in our watershed, and I've worked in several watersheds throughout the state and for the federal government, and in this community, they really love their lakes. So everybody from the ag community to the industrial community to the residential community, they've all pretty much taken their part. The residents are bagging their leaves and keeping their lawn clippings on the lawn, and the ag community is doing a great job of it's a precision ag world now, so they don't want any of their nutrients that they put on that cost thousands of dollars to be washed away. So they're doing an excellent job of their incorporation. They're doing an excellent job of their erosion control, and we've seen lots of tile open-in outlets on ag drainage be removed and put in with rock inlets through one of our cost share programs. So everybody in our industrial portion of our watershed, they are doing their stormwater ponds and complying with the SWIP, which is a state mandated stormwater reduction procedure. So everybody is really doing their part, and it's impressive. Even in this poor economic time, everybody's standing up strong, and there's a lot of rural residents that have to update their septic systems, and everybody's doing their part to take care of what pollution they're producing.
Well, you're right. I mean, my goodness, in Albert Lea, the lake is where it's at, either one of them.
Right.
Fountain or Albert Lea Lake, it's a big draw from throughout the area. What about long-term plans for the dredge and Albert Lea Lake? Is that part?
It is.
Phase 2?
Yeah, that's phase 2 of the project. We actually were working with the Army Corps of Engineers, and they were going to do a project on Albert Lee Lake. Federal funding has gone to the side right now, so right now we're still in the planning phase of that. But what the Corps was looking at, and what we'll look at the same plan, and we'll make a few islands in the west basin of Albert Lee Lake, so basically from the interstate into town. And so we're going to restore and that portion of the lake, and then we're going to do a little bit of work on the east side of the east corridor of the lake as well. So, and we're putting in we just got funding from the state, $1.1 million for our Albert Lee Dam, which is at the end of Albert Lee Lake, the start of the Shellrock River, and a fish barrier to keep rough fish from primarily carp, and someday we expect we'll have Asian carp migration. So we want to shut that off. So we're doing quite a bit of work on Albert Lee Lake, and simultaneously as we're doing on Fountain Lake.
So those are separate. It's not finish one and move to the other. You're doing both
right.
projects.
And from the dredging standpoint, we'll probably move from one to the other, but the lakes projects are going on simultaneously.
And are we naming this?
Yes.
This vehicle?
Yeah, we are. The Lakes Foundation Committee is re-erecting, and one of their fundraising processes is we need an official name on the vessel. That's a rule in the state of Minnesota, and I think it's actually the Coast Guard that makes that rule. But it needs to have an official name on any navigable body of water.
Give them our name?
How you do it is you contact Laura Lundy at the Lakes Foundation Committee, and you donate $10 for each name that you put in. So, and after we're going to early 2013, we're going to look at all the names and we're going to pick one.
So it's the USS something? Does it have to be that, or
no? It just
anything?
Can be anything. Yeah.
Okay. Call Laura at Manpower.
Yes.
She's right down there by the lake.
Yep.
You can see her there, and she'll take care of it. Okay.
Yep.
Well, Brett, thanks so much. Brett Behnke from Shellrock Watershed District. Glad to have you with us. Come back
appreciate
again.
it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great.
And more of our show when we come right back.
Queue up your own comments for On Cue and send them to us at onq@ksmq.org.
Welcome back to On Cue. It's time for our weekly Vision 2020 segment. Matt Cano is here to talk parks and rec and basketball and squash and all those wonderful sports we love to play, or at least some folks love to play.
Sure.
And it's important, I guess, for the community, as a community growth, to have a good place to recreate.
Oh, absolutely. And one of the Vision 2020 results that the selection committee had was a community rec center, and it was the voice of the community that really came up with the idea of a community rec center, that they were looking for something more than what we have right now to offer, or at least getting an idea of a place where the community can get together and recreate, whether it's basketball, volleyball, swimming. That's what we're looking at right now.
And to back up just for a moment, as viewers may know, I mentioned it enough times that we're new, my family, we're new to the community, and when we came here, we were excited about what the Y had to offer, the present Y. Our kids could ride their bikes there, there was a lot going on, but it is busy. It's crowded, and they have expansion plans too. So I guess it's just relative to where you come to a community at. But there's certainly more that we can offer residents as far as recreational opportunities.
Oh, absolutely. I know the YMCA does a tremendous job, and all the programs that they have there, and we're working together with the YMCA. It's actually going to be a collaborative effort between many different organizations. This is truly going to be a tremendous community asset.
And are you looking mostly at facility, space, real estate, or are you thinking about we need more basketball programs, or we need a certain sport that we don't have now?
No, that's an excellent question, Eric. But really what we're looking at is it could be all of those. We are exploring all the options of where the community center should be. what kind of location, where should it be located, and then we also have different subcommittees. We do have a subcommittee looking in at the programs that we're going to offer, and we're also looking at what the community wants as far as, do we need more basketball court space, yes or no? We're actually working with a feasibility study. We're actually interviewing a few different consultants, different groups out there that do these feasibility studies to make sure that we incorporate that in our plan. We want to make sure that we cover all of our bases before we move forward with it.
Who would be responsible for such a facility? I mean, who would pay for it? Who would maintain it?
That's an excellent question, and that's something that we're actually working. And once again, that's going to be a collaborative effort between all the organizations running with the YMCA or the school system, the city, the park and recs. It really is truly a community effort to get this up and running, and it's going to be a tremendous asset to our community once we do have it built.
Exciting.
Absolutely.
And to keep in mind that you work full-time at Ameriprise Financial, so this is on the side for you. Thank you for your service.
Oh, not a problem. I grew up here in Austin, and I'm excited about bringing an asset like this to Austin. Austin has a lot of assets right now, a lot of recreational spots, but what we want to do is bring it all together and make it easy for people in the community to, if they want to go on the bikes and trails or if they want to exercise.
Look forward to having you back, Matt Cano. Thank you very much. Thanks for giving us an overview of what's taking place in the Rec Center Committee. We look forward to hearing more about it. Thank you for joining us. We're looking forward also to exploring more issues in our region on Q. I'm Eric Olson.
On Cue is a production of KSMQ Television in Austin, nonprofit public television.